Hey YouTube, hello again, and another video. I want just to remind everyone, all these videos I make is a lead up to a big video I'm going to make in Amsterdam, which mostly when I talk about myself and my experiences, but today's video is going to be about racism. What's my take on it? You know, where do I think that it all came from? How do we grow past it? How do we stop it? I think racism started from, we're talking about the ancient days of tribes. I feel like when people used to try to conquer lands and stuff, I think they did it in means of a name of a tribe or name of a gang or name of an army of some sort. And sometimes they used to always correspond race with it. This is just my take on it. So I always felt that you always had these sort of people that always felt that they was a dominant species. You had people from back in the day, let's say white people. You had the native Indians. You had black people, so to speak, like Africans. You know, you had, let's say, those of part of Europe. You know, I don't know so much into my history, but I'm just giving you a little brief analysis of it. I think over time, as time has gone on, we've always majority of races out there have always been so threatened or so to speak, protected in some way without having no legitimate grounds of justification in regards to what they believe in and how and what they stand by. Now, my argument is whether you're black, Asian, white, Oriental, whatever, there is no argument or no justification anyone can make to say you shouldn't interact with someone based off their race or, depending on where their background is from. Most cultures out there, most races out there like to use culture as a means of a smokescreen, as means of a sugar-coated topping on top of a cake. That's their excuse. Oh, well, it's our culture. Doesn't always work that way. Culture, at the same time, depending on which culture it is, a lot of it is fueled off a lot of ignorance. A lot of, and I look at some cultures out there as being very retarded in a way because they're holding themselves back. The world is moving on. The world is going forward, but they're holding themselves back in that sense. In my opinion, the most racist culture out there is part of the Asians. I'm not gonna say white people, so to speak, because if white people was racist, all the, so to speak, white countries out there would have kicked out all the non-whites completely. You would have nobody. You would have no black people, no Asians whatsoever. But I think you have these Asians, let's say we're talking those from Bangladesh, India, Pakistan, Sri Lanka. Some of them kind of have traits of severe racism. And a lot of it is brought down. They will turn around and say, culture, as a means to justify their belief and justify what they stand with. It happens in some African families as well that like to have this old school mindset of, no, this person is not one of us. This person does not know what we believe in, does not know about our culture, does not know about anything like that. But then you need to kind of get into that mindset of, are these people moving with the times, or are they just so far back in the day they're still feeling a bit salty because their daughter or their son went with someone who's non-whatever, you know? As we go along in this world and as we go forward, we have to kind of ask ourselves this question. Is this whole racism or is this whole culture thing holding me back? Is it holding me back in that sense where is it even worth it in the end? What do I get out of being racist? What do I get out of being that sort of individual who just completely shits on other cultures because I'm insecure about my own? Now, in regards to my background, I'm mixed, but so I'm allowed to get away with some stuff because I'm gonna know some people in the comments are gonna be like, what the fuck do you know? But is it really worth it holding on to this grudge that has happened for X amount of years and, you still feeling a certain type of way? It's like when it comes to slavery days, I said to some black people, I'm not trying to say to you to move on. I'm not trying to say to you to move on with whatever happened back in the day. But don't let the evils of the past consume you so it jeopardizes your future. The white man of today is not the white man back in the day. The black person of today is not the black person of back in the day. We have an opportunity to move on from racism. We have the opportunity to move on to a world peace of what needs to be done. So I know the last people to accomplish and not fuck with racism anymore is the Asians. But I think as the world, as they slowly come together, the Asians may follow suit or get left out in the cold. They don't want to be left out. But you have to kind of bear that in mind, that these people will turn around. Well, it's our religion. Well, it's our culture. Any god in any way, shape or form discredits a person based off the color of their skin because, let's so to speak, God created that person. Then God has made a fatal error. Then that doesn't make God a justified God in that sense. You know, are you doing God's good justice by questioning someone's race or questioning someone's skin color? Any so-called religious person or spiritual person, for that fact, wants to try and discredit someone based off the color of their skin, you need to disqualify them as being anyone to listen to, because these are the sort of people that will pick and choose how God would be, or what, or how to justify God's actions. If there's any verse in any Bible or any Quran or any holy scriptures, Torah or anything like that, that wants to discredit another person's race, I have to disqualify your God. Next month, yeah, I will give a very lengthy story about what's happened to me, as me being a victim of racism, and me almost converting to Islam. I will tell all next month when I'm overseas. But back to the video, racism, if you're a young person and you're confused because your family's telling you one thing of how to treat, or they're looking upon white people or black people as evil, or vice versa, or whatever, someone who's not your race, you need to ignore them. There comes a time where parents get to that certain age where they didn't move with the times. They're so far back in the day, they're being left behind, and they're going to hold you back. You need to kind of use your brain and think wisely. If, let's say, for example, just example, let's say all the black people out there decided to abolish dealing with, or completely segregate themselves from being with the white man. Black homelessness would be so far up there, it would be unreal. But black people has to come together and have to come on common ground and understand that, hey, there are some white people out there actually quite cool people. We're not in the era of segregation anymore. Some workplaces are segregated on a sly. Yeah, especially in the UK. But we're not in an era now where we have to sit on one side of the bus or one side of the tram. We can be in an environment where you can love thy neighbor. We could share vegetables, share fucking fruit and whatnot, without even causing any form of hatred to come with that. You see, I want to explain my story tonight, but I'm saving it to when I go to Amsterdam. I want to say my story as means of why I almost became a racist, but next month. So, as we move forward from this, now, will the world get any better in regards to racism? No, it won't. Because we're so segregated in today's society, it's unreal. We've so segregated ourselves to such an extent, and we've used politics and religion as an excuse for that. If you're from the UK and let's say you voted for Brexit, so to speak, you're considered a racist. People don't care what your views were on the Brexit vote, but you're considered a racist. Now, if you voted to stay in, you're considered a traitor to your country. So you can't fucking win. If you're more leaning to the far right, you're considered a racist. If you're leaning more to the far left, you're considered weak. You're considered weak, and you're considered a traitor to your nation. You can't win. Whether you're Republican or Democratic, for those in America that may be watching this. What I'm trying to say is that can we see the big fucking picture here and not brand ourselves with such stupidness depending on politics and religion? It's like, if you're Muslim, some people treat Islam as a race. It's not a race, man. People forget about their history sometimes. People forget about the history of these religions, of different varieties of races that go in there. It's like Pakistani people, yeah? You have some Pakistani people, mostly in a Muslim household. The majority of them are racist because they could give a shit about what the Quran or what Muhammad or what Allah has to say. Allah could reveal himself or whatever themselves to a Pakistani family, Muslim, and say, you will love whoever I have created in man's image, no matter what color he is. Muhammad's one of his closest followers was black, but these people like to pick and choose on when they want to be racist and when they don't. Don't be fooled by that, okay? You may be thinking, why am I targeting Pakistani people? Because I have a reason to. Next month, I will tell all. But don't let any sort of family or any sort of group or any sort of religion or any of that dictate to you on a racist scale. This is what holds the world back. You know, so what are you going to do, person watching this video? Are you going to wake up in the morning and look at your neighbor and say hi and offer and try and interact with him? Or are you going to hold that security in your head just because he's different from you? Let's defeat this ignorance. Let's try to get to understand one another. Let's try to get to understand people's struggles, people's issues. If you're black and you've got a problem with the white man, go talk to the white man. We live in a society where you can talk about it. There's no need to be no bloodshed. You know, if you're a white dude and you're pissed off with black people, then hey, go to some parts of the hood, ask to have a conversation with someone, and then settle your differences like men or like women. You know, there's no need for all of this injustice just because you want to make yourself feel better. That's playground type shit. Because on the playground, you do that sort of shit on the playground. But my issue is this. Don't play the race card. There's so much race baiting in television nowadays. People don't fall for the race baiting you see in television. Yeah, because I tell you what, the general public are suckers for it. And the media's playing you lot. So don't let the fucking media race bait you into stuff, making you hate the fellow black man or white man or mixed race man or oriental man. Yeah? Don't fall for it. You're better than that. Schools. Try and work towards more integrating your pupils together from different backgrounds, rather than having them all alienate themselves. And then you have the one unlucky one that gets bullied because he's different or she is different. Let's rise from that shit. I just wanted to make a short video about this and, you know, see what people's take on it. I will continue to make YouTube videos, but next month I will reveal all, and I probably will do it for an hour long. And yeah, everything shall be told. Peace out, love thy neighbor, stop racism, push for more world peace if you can, man. I don't follow no political parties, so to speak. You know, I'm not far left, I'm not far right or anything. I'm quite neutral. But let's push for world peace. Let's work on common ground here. If you come from a different background and you disrespect the laws of the land or whatever, then you should be dealt with, kicked out, whatever. You know, this is a privilege to be in such countries, especially this one and the United States and parts of Europe. But don't shit on it. Yeah. Namaste, love thy neighbor, meditate, and yeah, man, life is just a ride.